Hey, what is going on everybody? Welcome back to another DC Extended Universe topic video, where today we're going to be discussing the Batman v Superman Extended Cut. It is currently July 2nd, a few days after the Extended Cut was released on digital, and I've had the chance to watch it and see the things that it kind of improved over the theatrical version of the movie. 3 things specifically that we'll be going into in this video. Let me be particularly clear though that this is not a review of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice or a rant. This is simply my opinion on the 3 things that the Extended Cut fixed from the original movie. With that said and done, let's go ahead and jump in. One of the big things that I think the Extended Cut fixed over the theatrical cut was the North Africa scene. The North Africa scene was basically the big moment that kind of turned everybody against Superman. It's the inciting force of Lex Luthor's plan, and it gets a lot more screen time and a lot more devoted to it in the Extended Cut. The woman that was sort of telling the senator about how Superman came down and kind of brought about the wrath of a bunch of overlords was actually an actress paid by Lex Luthor. And later on in the film, she actually comes clean to the senator because she fears for her own life as she sees KG Beast basically tying up loose ends. Another thing is that in the actual scene, there's a lot more context as to why people are blaming Superman, because we actually see KG Beast burning bodies to signify his heat vision. And there's a lot more than just special bullets, which still play a huge part, but we actually see Lois investigating that in an actual crime lab instead of just going and asking people and then just getting it later on in the movie. There's a lot more that really goes into Lex's plan in this movie, and that's kind of something you have to appreciate about the Extended Cut, because the original movie kind of left us with a lot of questions and we were kind of just there to kind of fill in the blanks ourselves, but here they actually give a little bit more context and a little bit more concrete evidence, so it's pretty interesting. Another thing that I think the Extended Cut really fixed over the original cut was Superman himself, or more specifically his motivation for hating Batman. In the Extended Cut, Superman actually travels to Gotham and ends up interviewing a few people over there, basically all of them telling him about how Batman is terrorizing the entire city and how he's basically this big vigilante that basically brands people for death. It's really cool because in this version we actually see this kind of grow over time, and we kind of see Clark reacting to this news, and this is how we get the idea that Clark sees him as a ruthless vigilante. And there's a lot more behind the scene where he just trashes his car and tells him to hang up the cowl. There's just a lot more context for why Superman is doing this and what his grudge is against Batman. And finally, I think the biggest thing that the Extended Cut fixes is the pacing issues. Now, the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman, a lot of people did enjoy it, but I think a lot of people also admitted that there was a few pacing problems. It just kind of cut to different scenes with no real context in between them. There wasn't really a lot of connective tissue that helps you ease into different scenes. One of my biggest examples being that in one scene, Superman just shows up on a mountain after he said that he was leaving. A bunch of different stuff happens, and then all of a sudden Superman is on a mountain talking to his dead father, and it really kind of threw people for a loop. In the Extended Cut, however, there's actually an introduction to the mountain itself, and you get an introduction to Clark talking to Martha, and these things just don't come out of nowhere. You actually get eased into these different scenarios, and it helps the movie really move a lot more fluidly, and it doesn't feel quite as disjointed as I think the original theatrical cut did, which again is my opinion. If you don't agree with that, if you think that it moved very well, then by all means you're allowed to believe that. I just think personally the Extended Cut really helped the movie to move along at a better pace, and it just was a lot easier to get through for me. And that's actually going to wrap up what I think the Extended Cut of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice fixed in the theatrical cut. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It really helps us out. If you want to see more of our original content, podcasts, reviews, character bios, super science, and whatnot, go ahead and subscribe to the Hybrid Network for more of our videos as they come out. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time. Peace.